And a very, very, very good day, everybody. My name is DC. I am the host of The Full Circle, a podcast where we link songs together with the last song linking to the first song, hence completing the full circle. Today, I have a very special guest on The Full Circle today. He's a top guy, someone I've known for many years. We really got to start knowing each other for our love of wrestling, and we contributed on the now legendary All Wrestling Week in Review. Stayed in touch ever since. He has a lot of other passions, including hosting the Eurovision Showcase, where he talks about the Eurovision Song Contest, which you can hear on Forest FM on Sundays at 5 p.m., or you can listen on Spotify or anywhere you hear your podcasts. His name is Ciaran Urry-Tuttiett. Boom, 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 boom. Hey, Ciaran.
Hello, DC. Oh, hello, how are you? You doing okay?
Yes, doing very well. Very glad to have you on the show, and yeah, looking forward to just catching up because I was trying to think about it. I mean, I know we briefly had a chat years ago in London, didn't we?
We did. And it was outside King's Cross St. Pancras station on the side of the road, I think, while I was waiting, or I just dropped off people from a cruise ship transfer after they were in Southampton on a cruise ship. And they were going onwards to Paris and they were going on the Eurostar. Yes, right. I think it was around that time. I'm sure it was.
Yes, that sounds right. And we've stayed in touch, and I know, I think, just how it is. We all have busy lives, and you live not, quite. Well, you live in Southampton, don't you?
Well, I'm in between Southampton and Portsmouth. I'm in a town called Fareham,
Yeah.
which is an old market town, but it doesn't have much historical significance. So there's not much here necessarily, other than it's an old market town, and it was very famous for its markets. Market town. There's the clue. That type of stuff. So.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you we were going to talk about a lot about you and a lot about what you've done for the town, and also just about we're obviously going to have to talk about Eurovision. We'll talk about wrestling. Um, but before all that, I mean, I don't know loads and loads of things about yourself, but I'm sure that I'd be curious to hear a fun fact that you probably haven't shared to many, if anyone, that you're willing to share on the show.
Well, I was racking my brains actually this afternoon and thinking to myself, wow, what can I use as my fun fact that not many people know about? Because let's face it, I'm quite an open book when it comes to um, online, on social media, and then through my radio show and podcasts and stuff too. So there isn't much that people know about me. However, probably the most cheesiest fact I could probably tell you is the fact that back in secondary school in year nine, we had what they call a sixth form penny fair, which the sixth form at my secondary school would raise money for charity. And usually it was for CAFOD because I went to a Catholic secondary school. And which is a great charity, don't get me wrong. And they used to raise so much money, and it was just through pennies and doing various tasks and stuff. And one of those tasks was the loudest scream. I won the loudest scream with the highest decibels in year nine in front, and I beat all the girls.
Have you got a video of that?
I wish somebody did, but I could assure you, the last day of going to school in year nine before the summer break and went into year 10, there was a a prize giving ceremony after it, and yes, they announced the loudest scream this year was by Ciaran Urry-Tuttiett, before I was got married, obviously. And I was like, "Oh gosh." And everybody went, "Yeah, go Ciaran, way." So yeah, it was I was very proud of it actually, but I think I scared myself at how loud my scream could actually be, which
Wow.
I'm not
Have
gonna
you had?
preview for you.
I was going to ask that. I was going to say, have you done that since?
I've tried to. Yeah, like, for example, while I've been bus and coach driving, for the last 20 years, um, there have been times when I've thought about it and I've sort of given it a go, but yeah, I can't get that high now, thankfully. Otherwise, I'll do myself an injury probably.
Yeah, you probably damaged those vocal cords. You don't want to do that. Have you did you get a prize for it?
Yeah, I got a box of Cadbury's Heroes.
Fair.
It's something. It was for charity, so, I'm lucky to get anything, and then I wasn't expecting anything at all, but, Heroes back then, they were good.
Yes. Well, I think they still are. I think they still are.
Yeah, I think to be fair, I think they're probably the best when it comes to, like, a Christmas selection box, because Quality Street and the Roses have sort of, like, gone a bit downhill, like, in my personal opinion. But I think the selection is as good, and plus the tubs are much, much smaller now. So, but yes, I know shrinkage and all that type of stuff. Mhm.
It is such a shame how, yeah, they are a lot smaller. Like one of my favorite chocolate bars, which I don't have anymore because I would just have them all in one go, are Gold bars.
Oh, the gold bars, yeah. Oh, now that's a good choice, Deb. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't meaning to share fun fact, but now what I only do is once a year on my birthday, I'll get myself a Gold bar, or be gifted to me. It's usually gifted to me by my partner. The issue is that years ago, I think there was like 9 or 10 in a pack, and now there's 6. So you're like,
Oh my
yeah,
god, I didn't realize it was that less, that small amount. Wow. And
and
this
what used
price
to
is still the same, isn't it?
yes, price is still the same. And what used to happen is I used to offer them to all my flatmates, or well, back in the day when I had flatmates, I used to offer it to them or offer to a partner. So now there's a lot less for me. So I know it sounds bad to say that, but considering I only have it once a year, like
Yeah.
it's
No, yeah, it hurts. It's just it doesn't make any sense at all. And also I find as well, even if because my favorite chocolate bar, if there was ever a chocolate bar, it was my favorite, is a Bounty. Love Bounty. And even still in the multi-pack of 4, they're much smaller, I swear, than what they ever used to be. Um,
yeah,
and I know they still come in like 2 bars inside a packet, but, individually, and then there's the 4. It's still not the same. I don't understand, but obviously it's trying to make as much money as you can with less of the product and make it, financially viable probably because of the ingredients. That's another
yeah.
sad thing. Anyway, probably a good thing in a way, actually. Shaves it from our hips, obviously.
That is a good point. That is a good point. You will have less, but it just feels like, yeah, like you say, that all these sort of products these days, they're trying to get as much as they can from the consumer and giving as little as they can. I mean, I've just been seeing that everywhere, to be honest, not just chocolates.
No, no, any type of product. It's a shame.
Anyway, let's move on to some happier stuff, such as you're shouting, you're screaming. No, I'm joking. What's your first song choice?
Okay, well, my first song choice comes from the Eurovision Song Contest. And I don't think it would be too much of a surprise for anybody listening to this, knowing that I do a Eurovision Song Contest radio show and play music from the very start in 1956 all the way to the present day. The last contest, which was in Basel this year in 2025, as we're recording, and I think this one will probably set the tone for the rest of the full circle. And this is the UK's first Eurovision victory, performed in barefoot, which was quite a controversial thing back in 1967. Yes, it's the catchy tune of Sandy Shaw's Puppet on a String from 1967.
Nice.
Legendary. And she's famously now not singing at all. And if I remember rightly, she's either a councillor or she's a psychotherapist, something like that, down in Earl's Court in central London. Yeah, she's got her own thing and everything. It's fascinating to see that she was such a huge musical star in the 60s and the late 70s. And then she famously just went, "Nah, I don't wanna do it anymore." And she went and found and did a training and, became what she does now.
Fair play. I know there's been a few musicians that I've read that have made certain career changes. But I think the majority of musicians, I think, like, I don't know, maybe it's financial, or maybe they just lose the love for music. I know it can be a very stressful world. That sort of high pressured, making music consistently and also touring. I think that can be quite tricky. Um,
Absolutely. I could imagine even back in the 60s and the 70s, you could probably appreciate how much journalists were itching for a story for the newspapers and for the next day, and the next day's print. And 'cause, I can imagine it was just as it could be even just as but in a different way than what it is today with social media and video recordings and photos, etc., as being so much more easier to collate. But when it comes to a huge pop star and trying to get dirt or any type of story, either it be good or bad, I could imagine the pressure must have been really, really tricky, and especially after winning the Eurovision Song Contest and having a number of hits afterwards, and before she had before Eurovision as well. Um, that pressure could have been just too much for her.
yeah, it's a tough gig, and like you say, I think any era would have had its ups and downs and its positives and negatives. I think another example that I was thinking of was, do you know, The Clash? You must know The Clash,
Yeah,
obviously.
the clash.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the drummer, Terry Chimes, he's now a chiropractor.
Oh, so he went into medicine too.
It's interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, into chiropractor. Oh, gosh. Well, when I've got a dodgy back, I know where to go to.
Yeah, I can't I think he's up north. I think he's up north, but yeah, it'd be a bit of a mission for you.
Yeah, probably not then.
You shared a really good fun fact, but I also wanted to bring up some other things about you, which you've spoken about on social media, which I also wanted to bring up because I think they're quite fun facts. And I think a few years ago you had the pleasure of speaking to Scott Mills, didn't you?
I did. Yes. I went on BBC Radio 2 and I've spoken to Scott a couple of times and also in person. I've been very lucky enough to bump into him in Stockholm Arlanda Airport on the way back from the 2016 contest in Stockholm in Sweden. And meeting Scott and his partner, lovely. Both of them are wonderful, but Scott's fantastic. And when it was the UK hosting on behalf of Ukraine in 2023, so the contest was up in Liverpool. Um, I was quite excited about it, as you can imagine. However, financially, it wasn't going to take place for me to go up to Liverpool because it was just ridiculously expensive to go to the contest, but then also accommodate there or try and find logistics around after the contest for me to get back to wherever I'm going to stay for the night. It was just too much, so I didn't go up. But I wanted to Scott and just share my love of the contest, and he contacted me, and his producer contacted me as well and said, "Oh, would you be kind enough to come on and open up the show and announce it?" And I was like, I couldn't believe it. Yes, of course, I'd love to. Now, being a radio presenter, as a volunteer radio presenter on Voice FM in Southampton, Express FM in Portsmouth, and now at Forest FM in the New Forest, um, on the Hampshire Dorset border, um, it still gives me goosebumps to know that my voice is being broadcasted across the nation. I mean, it was just like, oh my God. But I was more than obliged to do that. And yes, of course, I clipped it and put it on my social media, but I loved doing that. I do sometimes go back to it. Don't know if it's an ego type of thing, but I just, that moment, DC was amazing, absolutely amazing. And Scott and his production team, when he did his afternoon show, this was, I must say, now he's gone on to the Big Breakfast Show now, so that's
Mm,
pretty cool. Such a genuinely nice guy too, and he's local. He's originally from Southampton, so
yes.
literally 10 minutes around the corner from where I am was the radio studio of Power FM, which was local down here. It's now got taken over by Capital many years ago. And obviously, Capital's become a huge, big national radio station as part of the global media empire. But the but Scott was a huge name down here before he went over to the BBC, and people loved him down here, and they still do. And whenever he mentions, like during his breakfast show, and even in the afternoon show when they used to do the travel, and they mention the M27 or the roads in Southampton or Portsmouth, he'd be like, "Oh, it's Burgess Road again. Everybody trying to get to the General Hospital again. It's all snarled up. It must be visiting time." That type of stuff.
And the other thing I wanted to talk about, and obviously we don't have to talk about it if it's something we don't want to go into, but you've also stood as a political candidate for Fairham.
Yes, yes, I have. Local government. So for the borough council 3 times, and for the county council once or twice. No, twice. Yeah. And yes, I stood for the Liberal Democrats. The Liberal Democrats are the second largest party on Hampshire Borough Council, and also on no Hampshire County Council and Fareham Borough Council. So yes, I'm no longer standing as a candidate anymore. I'm no longer a member of the Liberal Democrats, but that was a local decision, not a national decision for me. I still support them nationally and locally, but I just when I stood last time, it was for a by-election in October of 2022, and things got really tricky. Now, the political climate, I think personally, since 2016 and the Brexit referendum has turned this country upside down, and not everybody, because that's the terrible thing to say, but there is parts of society which just end up being angry for angry's sake, I believe. But and then the lack of respect between one another's views and the understanding of each other and how everybody's different, and just um, respecting that difference. And I found it eye-opening standing for local office in my home village of Porchester, which is part of Fareham. And the even though I'm currently live 10 minutes drive away from where I was standing, apparently that was an issue for the local Conservative Party. And I was thinking, 10-minute drive away, and it's my home village. My parents still live there quite happily. My dad served in the Royal Navy and in the Hampshire Constabulary for many years. My mother is a nurse from the age of 16. She was a Royal Naval nurse as well. She did her training up in Manchester, but then she went down to Haslar Hospital in Gosport, to Gibraltar. My dad was in the Falklands, for heaven's sake, as well. Um, so and obviously we've all gone to local schools. I've taken part in the local scout group and been a leader for that as well. I've done lots of various local things as well. Always worked in the local area, and that was an issue. And the Tories were using that just for petty political points locally, and it really burned me. Am I? And yes, I have got fragile mental health, um, issues from PTSD, etc., and I'm still recovering from all of that. And I think obviously that's something you always have to um, deal with and control. Uh, Even though I was mentally capable, I felt that I would be able to deal with this election and everything, but I just missed out in the voting when it came up to it um, by 25 votes. So heartbreakingly close. So yes, that was really tough for me to deal with. However, I think things could have been better on the campaign on my front. I don't feel like I got a great enough support from my local team. Um, and family and friends were fantastic, came out and helped me deliver leaflets, etc. And the support there was wonderful, but my local team here were a bit flippant about it, and I wasn't too happy about that. The fact that they were like, should have done this and should have done that. Well, you guys have done by elections and stuff like this before, much more uh, often and with much more experience. Um, why are you sort of like not assisting me in that? And they weren't. So that's why I was like, well, sod it, I'm not doing it anymore. I've got bigger fish to fry.
Fair. I mean, I think it's absolutely incredible that you did snap, because it sounds, I don't know, it sounds very scary. And like you say, it sounds like other political parties, I don't know, it just feels like they, instead of like sort of saying, and I think this is just how I see it as an outsider, someone that isn't, involved in politics or anything like that. But as I always say it, I see certain parties, instead of maybe talking about what they're going to do for the country, they will instead like personally attack other people. And it doesn't make
Yeah,
sense to me.
no. And it doesn't make sense to me for DC. And I look at sadly I do look at like the Conservatives in particular and reform at the moment too. And it's not because of necessarily of their political um, uh, political objectives, not necessarily, but a lot of it is. But it's just the way that they conduct themselves on social media and on the television, and how parts of the media, even the written press, I'm afraid, is so heavily to the other side of how I find myself in politics. It's like it's almost like a bully gang are going against the others where I am over here almost. And I'm finding like, why are there so many of these angry people who are blaming, but not even bringing up any reasonable ideas or policies to the table? But they're quite quick to point the finger, make people angry, and the funny thing is that when they want to control it, but they don't want to tell people how they want to control any certain issue. Is it either if it comes to immigration or it comes to the economy or to their health and social care service? They're not bringing any type of policies or any ideas. They're all out of ideas, and because it's easy for them to rile up people and make people angry and get them on their side. I mean, that's ultimately what they're trying to do, and it's quite worrying. Certainly for me, I try not to think about it too much, TC. Otherwise, it does not necessarily upset me, and it doesn't necessarily upset me, but it does make me concerned on you know, into the future if this type of politics continues in our United Kingdom.
Yeah. I agree. It's not something I talk about in this medium. And I think, I have friends who probably know what my views are. But what you're saying is exactly how I feel about things, and maybe even more, like there's more things that can be spoken about. But I think that's sort of, not what this show's
And
about. So
no, no, of course, and that's where I think where the likes of me and you, as we've spoken before, we understand that we have people around us and or that listen to this podcast who have different views to us, and we respect those views and realize that we do live in a democracy. And whatever we feel, we respect the other side if you feel differently. And that and that I think is the bread and butter of our society. It's just mutual respect for one another. We are two different backgrounds, etc. But we basically have respect for one another, regardless if it's me and you or anybody else. Joe blogs on the street, for example.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Which I think, and it's something I've spoken about with some other guests, and I think the issue is that with social media and with that anonymity and lack of maybe just empathy, because of it, I think we're losing that, and I think we're losing respect. And I think instead it's just name calling, it's just writing things which are obscene or offensive, which people just don't acknowledge that that is hurtful, and
Yeah.
they just write it. And I think that's, like you mentioned, media plays a part, and I think a lot of social media influencers play a part, which we're not going to talk about on this. I'm not even, they
Oh,
don't
no.
even deserve a platform.
Nope.
But I think, I
Gross.
know. But
Could it have been
yes,
about my Facebook status, which I mentioned? Yeah, so
potentially,
yeah.
potentially.
So you'd be a good politician there, DC, honestly.
I don't know.
I don't think you would wanna do that, no, because look at it now, crying out loud. Anyways, let's move on to something different, shall we? Yes.
Let's play some Would You Rather. So, first one. I think this is a tough one. Never watch or talk or mention or have any association with wrestling again, or never, or the exactly same, but never about Eurovision.
Now that is a very good dilemma. Mm. I think there are certainly pros and cons with both, but both interests of mine, and both of them have been in my life ever since I was a young child, and for as long as I can remember. However, if I had to pick one which I had to get rid of, I think it might actually have to be professional wrestling, DC. Now, the reason for that is because I find that the industry, even though most of it's in a very good place at the moment, because I see AEW are doing incredible work, and the guys, I mean, yes, of course, some of the storylines have been exasperating, like the John Moxley stuff was just driving me to drink almost. But and the fact I see like Jamie Hayter's not really doing anything, even though she's just come out of injury. I know it was a little while ago now. But she's sort of like dawdling around. But there's some great stuff like Timeless, Tony Storm. I mean, my goodness me. Will Ospreay, he's injured at the moment, but my goodness, he's done incredibly well in AEW ever since. Um, but also over in the WWE, there's been some interesting stuff and some exciting stuff going on. However, how domineering and how much content the WWE are throwing out there, it's almost drowning fandom. And and I don't know how else to describe it other than it's almost drowning because or you're overeating because they're just throwing content at you and they're stuffing it down your throat and you don't want it down your throat. You want to sort of like wait and leave it for later. No, have another 2 days SummerSlam and take it and like it, and with a 3 hour pre-show beforehand. I mean, there's no need for that. Uh, so these shows are becoming 7 hours on, and then another 7 hours. It's like 14 or 13 hours. It's ridiculous. So um, the content there is just a little too much. Where I'm finding with Eurovision, yes, of course, the Eurovision Song Contest is the two semi-finals and a final in May. usually around my birthday, so it's quite an exciting time for me. Um, and it is a year-long love affair of and it's music, so that's I think it's easier to enjoy because you don't have to visualize it necessarily. You can listen to it. You can do both. And also, it's in small segments in different weeks throughout the year. Now, and what I mean by different segments throughout the year, there's events going on all the time. Um, there's national finals going on in each participating country, and I log on to my VPN and go and watch television in Croatia, and I watch Croatia's national final, Dora. And me and Rob will be watching it downstairs via HDMI cable, plugging the laptop in, and watching HRT TV, which is the Croatian national broadcaster, HRT. Yeah. Anyway, it's clearly not in English. And yes, and watch them do the semi-final and the final, so that's much more easier to take in a slower pace, where as much as I love wrestling, and I think the wrestling industry is better now that certain Vince McMahon's not part of it. Still, there's a bit of few problems going on there, and we could go into that again a little later or at another time. But yeah, I find I could probably just say that the professional wrestling is one I could probably say that I could give it a rest.
Fair. I thought you'd go for that. I thought you'd that's the one I know it's a tough one, and I also thought seeing as you have a show about the Eurovision Song Contest, you wouldn't be able to talk about that. You wouldn't be able to have that show anymore.
Nope. That's true, true. Plus, I've got three flags right behind me here of the EU flag, the UK flag, and the Icelandic flag. So the Union Jack, I should say. Sorry. Yeah, because and plus I don't do a podcast anymore about the professional wrestling. I mean, I listen to them, but I I mean, it is a bit of a shame because that's how we met, DC. But certainly, I wouldn't want to ever take that back. But for the future, yeah, I probably would have to say that wrestling because there are things there where I'm just like, oh, this is bugging me or that's nonsensical. Why are you doing that? But there's a lot of fun out there too, still, thankfully, which keeps me still interested in watching the product.
Yeah, you went to All In last year, didn't you?
I did, yes, yes. Yeah, Wembley Stadium. Watched Brian Danielson win the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. That was an awesome moment, and Will Ospreay beating MJF for the International Championship. Oh, and Mariah May beating Timeless Tony Storm. That was a shocker. Everyone, you should have heard this. The, the crowd just went, yeah, it all went quiet. It was like, he's lost. Mariah won in her hometown, pretty much my home country, at least. Yeah. Were you there too, DC?
No, I was working.
Oh, no, gosh. Bless you, man. I know your shifts are quite grueling, aren't they?
It is what it is. We managed to get and the other reason was because we were planning on doing Vegas for WrestleMania this year. Yeah, so we were able to do that. We were able to go to Vegas. Yeah, it was. I'm not gonna lie, it was a little bit disappointing. Like just for what I expect. Maybe it was just the expectations. I thought it was going to be the best thing ever. Last year's WrestleMania I thought was incredible. Um, this year's was just a little bit underwhelming. I think the main event was flat.
It was just such a letdown knowing that what Elimination Chamber gave. And then literally, I was thinking to myself at the end of that Sunday night, thinking, where is Dwayne Johnson? He's supposed to be here. And now we got Travis Scott. And he comes from a very checkered past, which we don't need to go into, but you can Google it. It's not good. And it just makes me it worries me, like, that they were holding it just with John Cena, Travis Scott, and Cody Rhodes, and there's no Rock, and I think everybody was expecting to see The Rock. Now, he didn't necessarily have to wrestle or anything like that, but at least to be involved in this heel storyline. But yeah, that that soured a lot of people, and it was quite disappointing in a way. I'm with you on that.
We were very fortunate. I feel really sorry. So what happened was we were trying to get tickets straight away, and I just saw the prices. I was like, "This is unacceptable. Unacceptable, the prices that WrestleMania was." So what we ended up doing is literally like 2 days. We were already in Vegas. We were already like having a holiday. We were doing the Grand Canyon. We were doing lots of other things, and I was just checking the tickets every day. And then they released some seats quite close, and it was like a third of the price. And you are like, yeah, you are just like, "Whoa."
I know that's the problem. And then last year, do you remember on commentary, Michael Cole was going on about how much the biggest gate that they
Mm.
keep getting at certain cities. So when they were in Berlin last year, and also when they were in Scotland at Clash of the Castle, and just say money in the bank in the O2, and I think to myself, well, I'm not going to spend like £400 to be in not necessarily good seats either, just for a pay per view. I refuse to call it a PLE, just FYI. And and I mean, for goodness sake, it just makes no sense. And why would you gloat about the amount of money that you made? Um, because that doesn't do anything for the fan. Actually, it might anger the fan. I find that bizarre. But yeah, I like your principled, calm approach there, DC.
No, thank you. What did infuriate me, was when they announced that they're gonna do it all again next year in Vegas.
I know. I know. That's clearly like a money decision, isn't it? It's financial decision, I should say, in better English. That's terrible.
100% because
Infuriating.
yeah, yeah, and they already announced The Rock had already come out and announced this in New Orleans.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, but why are we going back to the Superdome again? That is quite short succession, I thought. Well, it
Yeah,
was
the other
34 last time it was there, wasn't it? So,
yeah, yeah, but you can't have it any quicker than the year later, can you, with Vegas? So it's just, oh yeah, unbelievable. Would you rather lose your sense of taste or your sense of smell?
in 2022, when I came back from Iceland, because I went to Iceland in May, just around my birthday, and it was for Eurovision too, because I went to Reykjavik for a Eurovision party, and I hosted the show there. A friend of mine, Drifa, who lives on Vestmannaeyjar, on the islands. There are this group of islands south of Iceland itself. It's about a 40-minute ferry ride across, a little bit like the Isle of Wight, close-ish to me, but still part of Iceland, of course. And she lives there, and we were staying with her for a few days as well. And then she took us on the ferry, and then we drove all the way around Iceland, except for the northwestern fjords, which was, but that was so much more extra days and mileage, etc. So we weren't going to do that. But um, we went to Iceland anyway and had a wonderful time. We flew back with Iceland Air, but the following day, myself and Rob, for the first time, contracted COVID-19. As you can imagine. So we were lucky all the way through the pandemic. We didn't catch it. We were very good. Did everything that we needed to do. But as soon as we got back from Iceland, it came down with it. So I lost my 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 sense of taste for about 4 to 5 days. So, and that was the weirdest thing I think I've ever experienced when it comes to like an illness. Because yes, I don't know if you could tell, but here through the camera, but yeah, I'm quite a tall guy. I'm 6'3". I'm quite a large, stocky chap, and yeah, I do like my food. I do like my drink. I love my coffee. I love my No, chocolate, as we talked about earlier. But I found myself sort of a bit lost when it came to like, oh, what's it going to be like if I have a cup of coffee and I can't taste it? Literally, I couldn't taste the coffee at all. Like even a strong black coffee, couldn't taste it. Marmite sandwich. And I this time I don't usually have Marmite very thick because I know some people are wincing hearing this. Um, I usually have a little spread of Marmite, and that's enough for me. I don't like it really thick. Anyway, and I'd have a thick wave of it, and again I still couldn't taste that. That was so strange. But I think I would struggle if I couldn't smell anything. Um, and I coped relatively okay with the taste, I think. So I think I would prefer to lose my taste rather than my smell.
Okay. You didn't lose your sense of smell when you got COVID? Because I know some have, haven't they? Some did.
Yeah, some did, probably both at the same time, but yeah, I
Mm.
didn't lose my sense of smell. I can smell that okay. Yeah, but the taste wasn't there. It was very
Interesting.
odd. Yeah, very odd. But yeah, I mean, the smell of of freshly baked bread,
Ah, fair.
I would miss that terribly. It really would.
Fair. See, I think and, I think that's fair enough, especially if you've experienced the sense of taste and lost the sense of taste and think that would actually be okay. I think for me, like food and just not being able to taste it, to me just feels not as seems like something I just would struggle with a lot more than a sense of smell. For me.
Yeah, and I can appreciate that. You know, I'm surprised I went that way myself, to be honest. But yeah, just the not knowing what the smell is of something, and it could be anything or everything. Yeah, maybe because it leaves me open to smelling terrible things still as well. Where if I could eat probably anything if I knew that I couldn't smell it before I put it in my mouth, for example. Oh, that's a terrible thought.
Would you rather never be able to watch any television ever again or never be able to read a book ever again?
I think I would struggle if I never was able to watch TV again. TV is a lot to me, and it's one of the ways which I consume a lot of my interests is through the television. There's so many TV shows that I love to watch, and I love watching a bit of YouTube, and um, and I do love watching things on Netflix, on Disney, just the BBC iPlayer, ITVX, Channel 4 OD. Oh my goodness me, the list goes on. But I think I'm not a big reader. You might be able to tell that already from like how I consume things. It takes me a while to go to read a book. I've never really enjoyed reading a reading when I was at school. I do have a number of books in my bedroom, right by my bedside table, but I'm still going through a book which I opened about a year and a half ago. So yeah, I could probably leave the book, but I couldn't leave TV.
Fair, fair. What about audiobooks? Do you listen to them or
I do. Yes. Yes, I do. I'm currently going through Alison Hammond's autobiography, and she's voicing it as well, which is quite
nice?
fun. I love her. She's hilarious. Yes.
Yes. Okay, let's change it to that then. Or would that change your answer? If it was audiobooks, never listen to an audiobook, or is it still no? TV's just
Yeah, still no. Yeah, it's still be TV, I'm afraid.
fair. Would you rather be unable to eat chocolate for the rest of your life or being able to drink coffee for the rest of your life?
This is really tricky because I do love both. I would really struggle if I wasn't able to have my coffee every day, like I do, and I could leave the chocolate. As difficult as that sounds, I it's something about my morning coffee or coffee later in the morning. I try not to have it in the afternoon. So I'm quite regimental like that. And if I had something in the afternoon, it'd probably be a cup of tea, like a typical builder's British cup of tea. Um, but I with a sweetener. I'm quite basic like that. But yeah, I have to. It has to be a sweetener because of my type 2 diabetes. So I have to be a good boy. It's very good. And so I tried to do that. So yeah, I think, and plus as well, having the coffee would be better for me rather than having chocolate because it might spike my sugar levels.
Would you rather be famous for all the wrong reasons or not famous at all?
Not famous at all. Probably because I don't know that side, the other side, of being famous. People do sort of sometimes do know me, depending on where I am. Certainly, if I'm like at a Eurovision event, some people would be like, "Oh, it's Ciaran, and Ciaran's here," and like Rob, my husband, would come come along with me to to the events, and he'd be like, "D- "Who's he?" Or "Who's she?" I don't. How did they know you? What? How? And I'm like, "Oh, hello." It's like, but we've never met, but we've always spoken on Facebook, for example, or on Instagram or something. It'd be something like that, or even through the official Eurovision fan group. That's quite fun. But yeah, I don't necessarily sort of famous. It's just sort of like well known, I guess. But yeah, I would be happy with not being famous.
Yeah, I agree. I wonder. I was thinking when I saw it, I was thinking, well, how depends what the wrong reason is, though. Like, what is the
Yes.
wrong? Like, if the wrong reason was because you like tripped and fell on something, and made you looks a little silly, and now you're suddenly
Yeah.
famous. Like, I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't mind that, but I don't know. Also, that also sounds a little bit, a little bit like I want to be famous, which I don't. But it was
No.
just like, yeah, I guess it depends what the reason, how, like, what the wrong reason was.
Exactly. And I think, yes, if it was for something awful that I did, then of course I would not want to be at all. For example, I mean, goodness me, you see various figures throughout media for the years that we've been on this planet. Do you see? And you see like anything from just Gemma Collins being Gemma Collins to Prince Andrew, and it's just, well, one extreme to the next. And what Prince Andrew's been doing and done, yeah, it's like I don't want to be like known for something bad. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I don't wanna be known for, not being able to sweat. Right,
Exactly. Or go to a Pizza Express in Woking, which is very nice indeed.
oh
Woking
dear.
a boring place. You wouldn't. It's just a suburban town, no soul or anything. It's just a commuter town for London, really.
I really hope no one from Woking is listening to this.
Don't blame me. Blame my husband. He works in Guildford, and it's just only just down the road, and they dog on Woking crazy. Everything else.
Oh dear.
Oh dear.
I'm not endorsing this. Right, Sandy Shores, pop it on a strip. You know what? It's been like 40 minutes since we've spoken about the second song, so we have to crack on. I'm loving it. I'm loving it, but we're only on song 2.
Yeah, we're up. We're so we need to go 2 years on now. Where most famously, the UK won and tied with three other countries for the win: France, Spain, and the Netherlands. And it was one of the most unusual endings in contest history. Absolutely good. With four countries winning it at the same time. And it still irradiates pure joy, this song, as in it puts a smile on your face. Most people know it. So it's the winner of 1969 for the United Kingdom. It's Glasgow's very own Lulu, with Boom Banger Bang.
Nice.
It's a tune and a half, and it's one of the she had is it was the second ever color Eurovision contest, so you got to see everybody's amazing dresses and costumes and suits, etc., in that contest, which was hosted in Madrid. The one and the only times that the contest was ever hosted by Spain, and Lulu wore this really typical 60s pink dress, and it was all a bit of a very cutesy type of performance because she was married to one of the Bee Gees at the time. Was it Morris Gibb? I think it was Morris Gibb actually. I probably got that completely wrong, and somebody's screaming at me now. And I apologize if I have. But yeah, it was the Gibb family were there, and Lulu's parents were there too. And yeah, obviously in the record books, the UK won. Wonderful stuff. So yeah, Lulu is a Eurovision winner, even though she doesn't like to admit it.
Nice, Lily. Boom Banga Bang, the second song on the Full Circle. Right, time for some favorites.
Yes, of
So I'm
course.
going to ask
Why
you
not?
not many, just a few favorite things, and I want to see what you go for. Your favorite music album?
I mean, honestly, I've got on this wall here. I know you can't see it, but this wall here is just so many musical albums here. It's ridiculous. I don't know. Oh, actually, I might be able to do
Yeah,
that
show it.
on the
Oh
wall.
wow,
There we are. So all the way down there and all the way on the top, you see. So it's just loads of them, and there's more. There's more. So
fair.
just don't be too surprised. For me, my favorite artist ever, musical artist ever, and album, it would have to be Celine Dion's "Color of My Love." I adore that album. So it's an album from her from the mid-90s or mid to late 90s, actually. Yeah, 98, I think it was. And it has all of her underrated songs on there. And to me, the woman can do no wrong. Um, there are so many tunes which she has made, and it's just I don't know how to describe it. It's just beautiful. I mean, her voice is just incredible. The lyrics that she talks of is just poignant to me, and I love them. So it's got like her rendition of "The Power of Love," which is really cool, and I love that. I love Jennifer Rush's version too, but that was good. One of her songs, which was called "Only One Road." Is just another beautiful ballad. The next plane out, there's just a few, and there's an up-tempo song in there called Misled, which not many people know about, but it's actually really good bumpy tune. I don't think there's a way to describe it other than it's a bouncy funky tune from Celine, especially back then. It was released in 1990, yeah, the mid-90s it was. Yeah, mid-90s for sure. I can't remember if it was 93, 94, 95, something like that. But yes, so I'd say The Color of My Love by Celine Dion. That's my
Nice,
favorite album ever. And I could listen to that till the cows come home.
amazing. Sounds like a really good one. What's your favorite Eurovision song?
Ever. Okay. Right. So that's an easy one for me because this one I always go to, and it is true. My favorite Eurovision Song Contest entry ever was from Iceland in 2003. It was Birgitta Högdahl with Open Your Heart, or the Icelandic version is called Segðu mér allt, and means open your heart. And Birgitta Högdahl was Iceland was the opening song of the 2003 contest in Riga in Latvia. And the 2003 contest was the contest which I first started with my fandom of the contest. It was just the one where I was like, "Oh, I need to look up on the internet all back there and like looking at all the fandoms and the reviews, watching national finals and everything from the different countries. And I remember watching the Icelandic national final, our own national final, and getting infuriated because the British public chose Gemini and Crybaby, and we ended up getting 0-0 with that because they sang terribly on the night, and we quite rightly deserved 0 that night. So yes, it, but the Icelandic entry ended up coming eighth, which was fine. We got 12 from Malta and from Norway. And Birgitta Högdahl is still a huge star in Iceland. She's currently living in Spain now, but she still releases music in Icelandic and travels to Iceland and all the time. And so she's still performing, releasing music, etc. But she is a mega star over there.
Nice. Amazing.
I love her.
Your what's your favorite wrestling match?
It's all because of the theatrics, but also the dedication that um, that both superstars put in to this match, which made me sit up and listen and want to watch wrestling till for the rest of my life, maybe. I mean, and I'm still watching it on and off now. Um, but it would be from King of the Ring, 1998. It's the Hell in a Cell match between Mankind, Mick Foley, and The Undertaker. Just the spectacle that it was, the moments that it brought, the dedication that the pair of them did to put themselves through such hell, literally inside Hell in a Cell, and try to go that one better after the debut match with Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker, to just take it that one step further, and the pain and the suffering that Mick Foley put himself through. But then also The Undertaker put himself through. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a pile driver, a pulling pile driver to a steel chair that looked as painful as the one that Mankind gave to The Undertaker in the middle of that ring in that match. Now, of course, there were so many more bumps that Mankind took that that night, but it was just awe-inspiring to see what could be done to the human body that night in June of 1998. I mean, still, I got goosebumps over that now. I'm thinking about that now. I was in year seven in secondary school back then, and mum and dad didn't really know what WWE, WWF was really, and we had Sky Sports subscribe because my mum and dad, well, my dad and my brothers were huge Portsmouth Football Club fans and stuff. So, but they love football anyway, and of course, it was like well, perfect. Let's set the VHS recorder and we'll watch that. So yeah, that's my match. Mankind and Undertaker, King of the Ring, 1998.
Nice. Yes, that is that iconic moment where he falls off the cell. I mean, that a lot of people will see that. I'm glad you chose that match because I think the thing about that match, I think the people that criticize wrestling, or one of the reasons that people criticize wrestling, is they're like, how can you watch something that's not real or fake? You know, they use those words. And actually, I think that match really shows no, it's not, though. It's like, yeah, it's scripted, it's predetermined, but actually, what they go through, they put their bodies on the line to entertain you, is real.
Absolutely, absolutely. The commitment that they have to that they gave to one another, and for them to give to the viewer. You know, they were at the height of the Monday Night Wars back then with against WCW. And you can imagine that maybe not necessarily that was on their mind, but the fact that they wanted to give the audience a show and give them something to remember for decades to come, and still thinking of it now, it just gives me goosebumps. And realized that Stone Cold Steve Austin and Kane for the WWF championship match had to follow that. I mean, it's about as awkward as it was at WrestleMania 18 when The Rock and Hogan, and then poor Chris Jericho and Triple H had to go on after that, which
Yeah.
it just took the whole moment out. But Kane winning the WWF title that night, I mean, and he only held it for a day, and he lost it. I mean, still to me, regardless of Kane's or Glenn Jacobs's now political affiliations, which is a nutter personally, I find that moment and just his character and everything that he did in the wrestling ring incredible. And just to have that his one and only WWE Championship record is a quite a sad shame. I know he's world heavyweight champion, but that's not the same. Is it really? It's like being the IC champion in 1992, for example.
Yeah. What's been your favorite, either achievement or favorite life moment?
I shouldn't really have to think about this, but I think it is probably one that you're probably going to expect. DC is marrying my husband Rob, and being able to do it legally in my country in the United Kingdom in on the 19th of August 2017. I mean, I never thought before I met Rob that I'd ever meet anybody, certainly on my side of the road, that it would that there would be anything everlasting other than something which wouldn't be everlasting, or meaningful. Um, because sadly, in the LGBTIQ plus community, there's a lot of like testing the waters or doing this, doing that, and fiercely independent people. But then there are people like myself who just wanted to find that loving partner and settle down, to have a nice family, friends, and go out on holiday, be the cool gay uncles, really, to our nephews and nieces, and be able to treat them crazy, but then also be a little bit selfish. We've got, instead of having kids, which we're not too interested in, but one of the biggest things people always say to the likes of me and Rob is like, "Oh, have you ever thought about having kids?" Just because we're gay doesn't mean that we want to necessarily have kids. Not every couple wants children. It's there's straight people out there who quite happily don't fancy having children. Um, yes, I probably would be an amazing dad. I'm no doubt Rob would be. I mean, he's a team manager for adults with learning disabilities and autism in social services. So, he sees it from the other side of adulthood, and with children who have become adults going through such torment, but then also making sure that they've got the right support going forward in their lives in that county. So there are things there which I'm very thankful for, and certainly marrying Rob and having all my friends and family around. Well, it's not as many as I could. We ended up having 200 people in the evening, but I had 120, and that was really tricky trying to fit everybody in, and I still left people out. So, and that was hard, but yeah, but it was a beautiful day, and we're celebrating our 8th wedding anniversary this in the next couple. Well, actually, yes, in 9 days' time.
Yeah. Are you doing anything for it?
Probably not. Probably not. We spoke about this before. We'll probably like have a dinner in, or we go out maybe for dinner. Probably we won't go crazy on it, but we try and do a themed present for whatever year it is. Yeah, so we usually do that. So I'm not too sure what the 8th is
Yeah.
actually. Need to look it up actually.
Yes. I was gonna say, you haven't got long.
No, no.
Bronze. Bronze,
Oh, bro.
apparently.
Oh, so if we do bronze, then okay. I could get him a 2-penny piece, couldn't I?
It's absolutely incredible that you and Rob were able to do that legally, and it sounds ridiculous to even have to say that. Do you know what I mean? Like,
No. I know. I know, and there are still people out there who don't agree with it. I mean, thankfully, me and Rob haven't really had any hate thrown at us for us being us. But we shouldn't have to worry. But I was asked this on BBC Radio Solent a few years ago, when I was contributing a lot more about the Eurovision Song Contest. But since the local radio have had a bit of a turn upside down when it comes to like their output and real change up on things. Um, then when they were openly talking about, same-sex marriages, etc. Um, yeah, I was interviewed by the breakfast presenter at the time, Julian Clegg, lovely guy, really lovely guy, and he's hosted me many of times talking about the Eurovision Song Contest. He's retired now, but he asked me, like, how would you feel like walking down Commercial Road, which is one of the biggest shopping mall roads in Portsmouth? If you were walking down, you're holding hands with Rob, how would you feel? I said, "Well, I wouldn't feel particularly comfortable doing that necessarily because I'd be I fear that I would probably be, well, we'd both be shouted down with abuse, saying, sick, etc., etc." I just don't feel comfortable with doing that. But where, straight people would quite happily hold their partner's hands, regardless of their gender, or anything like that. But yeah, I would worry about that. Maybe in and around London. Certainly, if I was walking around Soho or Old Compton Street or Denmark Street or anything like that, absolutely wouldn't have an issue with it at all. I quite happily hold Rob's hand or give him a kiss or give him a hug, for example. But yeah, usually if I say goodbye to Rob and I'm outside the train station or anything, I'll give him a hug rather than give him a kiss where I would usually like I do at home. But obviously, I wouldn't do. I do worry about the repercussions for it, and I shouldn't. I shouldn't. And I know I shouldn't. I shouldn't have to worry about what people think about me. I mean, I'm 39 now. Really should move on with that and not to have to worry about that. But I just want an easy, happy life, basically.
Yeah,
And that's
it's such a shame that that has have to be how you guys have to do it, but at the same time, as you say it, like, you just never know that what might happen if you do that. It shouldn't have to. It shouldn't have to be an issue. It shouldn't cause a reaction. It shouldn't even be like that. But it's unfortunate that is a possibility. And because of that, as you say, it's better to just not take any chances and, like you
Yeah, and
say,
just take
don't.
it as it is. Yeah.
Mm.
So we don't have to show our love for each other publicly. And that really what it comes down to it. We don't have to. We show it in other ways.
Lulu, Boom Banga Bang. How does that link
Yes.
to the third song?
It links to the third song as it's the UK's next win is 7 years later in a decade which brought us flair, disco, and a very sweet, surprising ending. Yes, indeed. So, the third song is a very wholesome sing-along song, which became the best-selling Eurovision winning song of all time, still, and it topped the charts in 30 countries around the world, and with a twisted ending, because at the ending where the darling turns out to be a little child, melted hearts everywhere around the world, and I'm on about the great Brotherhood of Man in 1976 with "Save Your Kisses for Me." Bye bye,
Nice.
baby. Bye bye. Yes, that is a lovely, lovely tune from the mid 70s. And a lot of people that I know remember, who I work with and talk about Eurovision all the time because I love talking about Eurovision from the 50s, 60s, 70s. That they remember 1976, obviously famously for the extreme hot summer of 76. And one of the songs that they remember around about that time was Save Your Kisses for Me. winning Eurovision. And it was one way that some people that I've spoken to um, got through that summer is the music and the music and knowing where they were when they were doing this or that and remembering when the Brotherhood of Man won in The Hague in the Netherlands and just basically and I had that famous dance break as well or the choreography was quite famous and it was very typical for that era. And yeah, it's an incredible tune. So you have to listen to it. Do you know it off the top of your head at all, DC?
I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I do.
Okay, no, it's fine. It was way before you were born anyway, so
I'm sure if I hear it, I probably will. I'm not very good with old, like with that sounds so bad. I'm not very good with songs that are pre-80s, I would say.
yes, that's fine. I appreciate that. Unless you're interested in it, you're not going to necessarily know.
No, fair, but I will check it out. Brotherhood of Man, Save Your Kisses for Me, the third song on the Full Circle. Right, I've got a BuzzFeed quiz.
Oh, okay.
Build a Eurovision performance and we'll tell you what country to represent.
Oh, wow. Oh,
So,
I
yeah.
That was interesting.
So, I'm going to ask you some questions and you've got to choose. There's not many, but you've got to choose what you'd go for. And then apparently it's going to give you the country. So, let's see.
Okay, let's do it.
What type of song will you be singing? So, the choices are a ballad, a club banger, or a smooth R&B number.
It would be a ballad. I am soppy as soppy can be. So yeah.
See, I think, it should include also because I would have gone for this. It should have included like, like a throwaway metal one like Lordy or something like that. Do you know?
Yeah. Oh, hallelujah. Yeah, of
Uh,
course.
okay.
Brilliant.
Choose a special effect. The options are fake rain, mirrors, giant selfies, dry ice, fire, and confetti. I don't know if you can see it there. Don't know if that helps.
Oh, okay. I would go dry ice, you know.
Okay.
Mm. I think atmospheric.
Nice. I didn't actually look at choose a prop: sparkly cannon, horse on a ladder, gorilla, light up mask, surfboards, or giant moon.
Oh my God. So the gorilla, I remember the gorilla. That was Italy 2017. That one, Francesco Gabbani. Oh my goodness. The horse's head on a ladder. That was Azerbaijan 2017. Diage with skeletons. Oh my gosh. The lighted mask.
Okay. Choose your backup singers. The choices are choices are sexy men, sexy women, or I perform alone.
Sexy men, I guess. Surprise, surprise.
Fair. Okay. Choose a song title. Yodel It, Mustache, Hour of the Wolf, Cake to Bake, Cliche Love Song, or Cheesecake. I don't know if you can read them there.
I know all of them. But I would probably have to say, oh, if I had to pick one of them, it would have to be Hour of the Wolf. That's Azerbaijan's entry in 2015. Yes, is that sad? I know all of these because I could tell you each year and country, and that's awful. Oh, oh dear.
Okay.
And I'm
What
not cheating on these things.
what countries would you want to represent, and what countries are you like, are pretty good if I had to represent that country?
I feel like if I had to, if there was a country I'd love to participate and represent, it would be the UK, Ireland, Iceland, France, maybe Denmark. Denmark's one of my favorites in the Scandinavia. Nordics. But the ones I would be really probably embarrassed to represent would probably be Russia, Belarus, Azerbaijan, um, Israel, probably. Because usually with Israel they have regardless of the political stuff going on at the moment and the atrocities, of course, they have a certain style of music, and it's usually club bangers or heavy ballads or singing about um, religious themes and stuff. So it's not for me. But also Portugal. I'd love to represent too, as well, probably. But yeah, I think yeah, Russia, Belarus, Azerbaijan. Yeah, Romania. I couldn't do Romania or Moldova either, because again, they either have lots of fun songs, which is great, but then also they have some really questionable staging.
Okay, the good news is you're not representing any of those countries that you don't want to represent. The bad news
Right.
is you're not representing any of the countries that you do represent, that you do want to represent. Australia.
Australia. Good day, mate. Throw shrimp on the barbie. How stereotypical is that?
And what they've said is no one quite knows what you're doing here, but hey, at least you're giving it a crack.
That probably basically explains everything that Australia have done at the Eurovision Song Contest since they've been in. So bless them. They're full of European historical people there, obviously from the very day that they were founded. So European migrants there. So that they've got a right to be there. And people argue about why is Australia in the Eurovision Song Contest? Well, they've been watching it since 1983. They had Terry Wogan's commentary till 2008, and then they send their own commentators from 2009 when we had Graham Norton start with us, and then from 2015 it was the 60th anniversary, and the EBU were like, "Australia, do you fancy taking part?" And it was said to them if they um, are in the top 10 that they could participate the following year. And then they ended up coming second in 2016. So, they put the effort in and they give some great content. I mean, they had a crazy lunatic called Gojo this year with a milkshake man. That was the name of the song. And it was your milkshake sexual puns are glory. I mean, literally, it was with this huge blender on the stage. It was ridiculous in the semi-final, but my God, it got people talking, and it was such an earworm. People still talk about it now.
Nice. Well, there you go.
Yeah,
That is, yeah, that's a country you'd represent. So fair play.
Australia. Okay, I'll be very proud of that.
Brotherhood of Man, Save Your Kisses for Me. How does that link to the next song?
Well, it links next as it's a dance routine, and it's a dance routine from the 80s, um, which is full of neon lights, and it served the most famous on-stage costume change in Eurovision history, still to this day. They didn't win convincingly, but they just won with about 3 or 4 points ahead of the second place song, which was from Germany. So I'm talking about Bucks Fizz, Making Your Mind Up, the UK Eurovision winner from 1981.
Nice.
Yes. Lovely tune. Again, it's an iconic 80s track, upbeat, playful, and cheeky. And not only did Bucks Fizz win Eurovision, but they gave us a real big pop culture moment because apparently Velcro was basically stripped from all the from the shelves in shops because children wanted to replicate the skirt rip.
Oh,
Oh yeah, and it's still talked to this day. I mean, it did shoot them into superstardom. They ended up having so many hits after Eurovision. They were real. Eurovision success story. They ended up going um, over into Europe as well and releasing like The Land of Make Believe, The Camera Never Lies, Those Days Are Gone. Oh, there's so many other good tunes that they've sang. And then sadly they split. Not too long after, they had a very serious coach crash in 1986. And Mike Nolan was in a coma for a long time. And I think it was Jay Aston was another one who was in hospital for quite a while. Cheryl Baker came out after a few days, and I think Bobby G did as well. But it ended up
Excuse me.
uh, that's fine. They ended up taking the their whole tour to a virtual halt, a stop, of course, because Mike Nolan had a lot of recovery to do, and he and Bobby G who able to um, was still in charge of the Bucks Fizz name. Basically, he ended up going off and doing his own Bucks Fizz, but with other people, and left Jay, Mike, and Cheryl all on their own pretty much. So they've ended up making their own Bucks Fizz, and now they're just known as the Fizz. Jay and Cheryl are still Jay and Cheryl are still performing. They've got two other gents with them now, but Mike has retired now. Bless him. So, but they're still performing in various locations everywhere. So you can check them out. The Fizz.
Nice. Yep. Bucksfist, making your mind up. The fourth song. So one more song after this. So one more feature, and it's another Eurovision feature, obviously.
Oh, wonderful.
Now, it's I suspect you'll do well. It's a quiz of Eurovision
Mhm.
history.
Oh, okay,
I
DC.
I
Sounds
reckon
intriguing.
yeah, I reckon you do well. And I was thinking about it because I spoke to one of my friends. I asked one of my mates what his specialist subject would be in mastermind, and I suspect this would be your specialist subject in mastermind, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, 100%. Because there would have been a time where I thought, I probably do like WWE from 1998 onwards, maybe.
I'm gonna see if you need the options. Obviously, it doesn't matter if you need them, but I'm curious to know if you'll just know them without the options. What was the title of the winning song from 2015?
Heroes.
That's an option, so I reckon that's right, and it is. Do you know what country that
Yeah.
was?
Sweden. I was there in Vienna. Um, yeah, I was there. Måns Zelmerlöw. Yeah, and they beat Russia, thankfully, because the Russian song was a peace song. Ironic, seeing as they invaded Crimea the year before. So it was like, I no, I don't get the pun here. Sorry.
Who no, it's alright. Who won the Eurovision Song Contest in 2011?
It was Elle and Nikki with Running Scared for Azerbaijan.
Wow, it's an option. You're right. Incredible. Okay. You will need the answers for this one because it's a not. Who who has not won the Eurovision Song Contest? So the choices are Cliff Richard, Celine Dion, Liz Assia, or ABBA.
Cliff Richard.
Cliff Richard. Yeah. Yeah, he finished second in 68 and third in 73.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, congratulations and power to all our friends, respectively.
Nice. When
Yeah,
when was the first semi-final introduced in Eurovision? You might need the options unless you're certain, but
I'm certain.
okay, go on.
2004 in Istanbul, Turkey.
Wow. Fair.
This
Spot
is
on.
getting embarrassing. Thank you.
No, you're smashing this. You'd be absolutely smashing on the mastermind if you're doing this on mastermind. How many times has Morocco participated in the Eurovision Song Contest? Either you'll know this or you might need the options.
I know it.
Go on.
Once in 1980.
Yeah. Wow. I was about to ask if you knew the year, and of course you do.
Yeah, they sang in Arabic and with a star actually. Sarid Arad. I think that's her name, Sarid Arad. She sang in Arabic, of course. Even though Morocco speaks in Arabic and French, so it's a former French colony. So they could have the option of singing both, but they sang in Arabic, and famously they only got 7 points, and those 7 points, no, they weren't from Turkey. It was from Italy.
Oh, wow.
Okay. But the juries back then, we had juries in Eurovision all the way up until 1997 or 96, 97. But yeah, um, yeah. So the juries would just go out randomly from before then in all sorts of different ways. Crazy.
Speaking of Italy, Eurovision 2022 was held there.
Yes,
Which city?
Ciaran.
Yep. The youngest winner was Sandra Kim from Belgium. How old was she when she won in 1986?
13.
Yes. Who has received most points in a grand final? Norway 2009, Alexander Rybak, Fairy Tale. Sweden 2012, Laureen Euphoria. Portugal 2017, Salvador Sobal Amar Pelos Dois. Or Ukraine 2022, Kalush Orchestra with Stefania.
It is Portugal 2017, Salvador Sobral, Amar Palos Deutsch.
Okay. Yep. Well done. Nice.
I was not sure on that,
What were
honestly,
you
because I
drawn
thought
to?
Caluso. I was thinking that Salvador Sobral or Kalush Orchestra for Ukraine in 2022, because, but I remember their jury points was quite low.
This is a yes or no. Has Julio Iglesias participated in the Eurovision Song Contest?
Julio Iglesias. So it's Enrique's dad. Did you know that?
Oh,
He has. He represented Spain in 1970.
yep. Do you know where he finished?
Yes, he finished third. No, fourth.
Finished fourth.
Yes, we Gwendoline was the name of the song. Yes, it was Mary Hopkin came second for the UK with a song called Knock Knock Who's There. And Ireland won that year, which is with Dana with All Kinds of Everything. Remind me of you. Bad,
Nice.
isn't it? It gets worse. Sorry.
That's all right. Another yes or no. Has Sweden won Eurovision 2 times in a row?
No.
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
They're joint 7 times winners with Ireland now.
Who finished second at Eurovision in 2021?
France, Barbara Pravi with Voila, Voila, Voila.
Yeah. Yeah. Well
She was my
done.
favorite to win. Yeah, yeah. Well, it's Måneskin. So if you rock fans, Måneskin won there. The Italians.
Yeah. Yes, I heard
Siete
that song.
Fumi.
It sounded quite good.
Yeah, it was a good song. I mean, if you love rock music, which I know you do, DC, I mean, my gosh, Måneskin have gone global. I mean, they're so popular in the US as well. Um, and the lead singer, uh, Damien Domenco, Damien Domenco, I think that's how we pronounce his name. I'm sure that is. Yeah, he's gone solo now, and he's doing all sorts of songs and stuff. Really good stuff, actually. But he's more poppy than rocky now.
Yeah, and just to add that, I did actually see, I was meant to say when you first mentioned Lulu, we did actually see Lulu at Glastonbury last year, and she was all right. I actually thought she was better than I expected.
That's interesting to know, but good to know though. Yeah, she's Lulu's an interesting character. I mean, I find when she was on Strictly, now I'm going back a few years now though, she was a bit argumentative, I thought, and just not it didn't come across as a particularly nice person. But famously, now this is a really random thing, DC, but I'll tell you, the 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 link here with Lulu is that she used to be a judge on a talent show in the 70s. I'm sure it was in the 70s. Um, and it was, I think it might have been Opportunity Knocks. And there was a young Sheena Easton there. Now, Sheena Easton ended up going on to have a huge career. But basically, Lulu showed that she was quite jealous of Sheena Easton's talents and said she's not going to amalgamate to anything. So, she's nothing really. But Sheena Easton went on to have many, many hits, including that Bond theme for Your Eyes Only, which is one of my favorite themes, actually. I just love that. And Sheena went on to have various other songs, and she's Scottish as well. Um, she had a song "Almost Over You," if I remember rightly. Yeah, "Almost Over You," "Morning Train," um, and "Modern Girl." It's all sorts of different hits, but "Morning Train" is the one that you hear a lot on the radio a lot these days. Takes the morning train, he comes to 9 till 5, and then so on and so forth. Yeah.
Nice.
So, but yeah, Lulu was really jealous of her, but she ended up, you know, having a huge career. So yeah, that's all I remember about Lulu personally. That
Yeah, it's
story.
interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. Okay, a couple more questions. Which country did Celine Dion represent in Eurovision 1988?
Switzerland.
Yeah, and she won it.
She did 1 point in front of the UK entry that year.
Ooh,
1 point. So it was Scott Fitzgerald with the song "Go" for the UK.
nice.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, lucky for him. How many times has Iceland, Malta, and Cyprus won the Eurovision Song Contest? I assume they've all won it the same number of times.
They've not won it yet. 0.
Oh,
It's hard. It's because all 3 of them have come second, multiple occasions, and, well, Cyprus have only come second once. Iceland have come second twice, and Malta have come second twice, and they've not won yet, even though all 3 of those countries are Eurovision crazy. Like, the viewing figures for the Eurovision Song Contest every year is like 99% of the population is watching the contest and 1% is watching something on the other side. It's that it's that popular. So, and they go all out with the contest,
fair.
pretty
Okay,
amazing.
last one, and no pressure because if you get it wrong, then you don't get full marks. You may need the answers, you may not. Which countries, so two countries, holds the record of most victories in Eurovision? Do you know them or do you need the answers?
Yeah, we just spoke about them about probably 10 minutes ago. So Ireland and Sweden.
Yeah, you did. Sorry. Ah, of course you did.
Oh,
Wow.
oh
Well,
dear.
yeah, you'll probably. I mean, I would actually. There needs to be like a Eurovision quiz contest just so you can enter it and win.
Well, another embarrassing moment. well, it wasn't embarrassing. I was very proud of it. Um, at the official Eurovision fan club group meet we held in October 2022 in Cardiff. Myself and Robert attended, and basically the fandom gets together and have a big night. We have Eurovision artists come, and we also and perform and meet and greet. But we also have like a quiz to break the ice, and you're paired up with all sorts of fellow Eurovision fans as well. And some of them you don't know. They're just put it up together randomly, basically. And our table won the quiz. And yes, I did contribute quite a bit to it. Not all of it, because there were some really obscure questions from the 50s and the 60s where I'm like, oh, I don't know about that. But thankfully, we had a couple of fellow Eurovision fans who were of a particular age, so that helped a lot.
Nice. Well, congrats. Amazing.
Thank you.
And proving it here that you really do know your stuff about Eurovision. Incredible. Bucks Fizz, making your mind up. How does that link to the last song?
Well, Bucks Fizz um, would win again. Sorry, so would win, and they won in Dublin in 1981. But the next win for the United Kingdom was also again in Dublin, but 16 years later in 1997. An anthem of peace and togetherness, and it scored the highest points totals in Eurovision history at that time. Fittingly, it brings us full circle as the innocence of the 1967 modern unifying message that could easily be led us right back to the sunshine of Puppet on a String, which with the bounciness of it all. Um, it is the legendary Katrina and the Waves singing "Love Shine a Light." What a
Nice.
tune! Goosebumps every time, even still now to me. And it was the song that myself and Rob walked down the aisle to before we got married. Yes. So, and our mums walked us down the aisle, which is quite fun. To
Oh,
doing it
wow.
differently. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Oh, so that song has a lot of meaning for you.
Very much so. Very much so. I do. It was slightly disappointing when at the OGAE UK meet in October of 2022, as I referenced earlier about the quiz, Katrina Leskinich from Katrina and the Waves was there too for the meet and greet and the Q&A, and she made quite an inappropriate joke in front of the Eurovision fandom and an impression of a certain someone, and that was not good at all. Like PR, she didn't think about PR at all. She probably thought, oh, because they're all diehard Eurovision fans, they'll love me whatever I do. But when she did an impression of somebody, and their medical condition,
Oh,
a physical
no.
dis, yeah, I know, and I'm sorry I had to mention that, but that slightly killed my love for her a bit because I'm like, she apologized for it afterwards, but um, yeah, that was really awkward, very awkward, and it sort of yeah stung a lot actually. But which I was like slightly kicking myself, like oh, bloody hell, why did I have to hear that? Now I sort of like got a clouded vision of how she does comedy. I just don't know if it's comedy or not. It's just insulting
It's
our intelligence.
it's such a shame when, someone who has done a lot of positives might just do something or say something just and it's one thing and it's so you do unfortunately they it could just have such an impact. It's such a
It
shame.
can. And you're quite right there, DC. They're in the public eye all the time, or she's ish, I guess. But she sort of not that she treated us badly as Eurovision fans, but she was very much in a rush to get out after because she had another gig to go to. I don't know if that was true or not. I don't know. Maybe it was just a way of saying, "Yeah, I've had enough now. Goodbye, everyone." I don't know, but we just don't know because I looked at her social media and there was nothing about what she was doing on that Saturday necessarily, or on the Sunday. So I don't know, but yeah, I was, yeah, just a bit of a letdown.
And sorry, just so I understand, what how does Katrina and the Waves link to Sandy Shores?
Because it's a unification of modern and unifying messages of the anthem of peace and togetherness, together with the images of a puppet on a string and being played in a loving way. Now that sounds dodgy, but but it comes around as a full circle of Eurovision
Yeah.
nostalgia,
Yeah,
really.
no, completely get it. Hence completing the full circle. Thank you so much.
Thank
Yay.
you. Thank you.
Incredible. And love the chat. By far the longest chat.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, everyone. I hope it was interesting, though.
Oh dear.
Talk for England. You could tell because I'm a radio host, as well as a podcaster and all that jazz.
Tell everyone about your stuff before we go.
Wonderful. Thank you. It's been awesome, DC. Thank you so much. So yes, of course. You can check out the Eurovision Showcase. It's broadcasted live every Sunday at 5 p.m. on Forest FM and down in the south coast of the UK in Hampshire and Dorset. Though wherever you are around the world, you can listen online. Just search for Forest FM or go to forestfm.co.uk. If you've got the TuneIn Radio app or Radio Tuner or any other musical radio streaming app, you can find Forest FM on there. But of course, we've got a back catalogue of shows that you can check out on Mixcloud, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. The list goes on, folks. We're there. Just search for the Eurovision Showcase or head over to our website, escshowcase.com. All the details are on there.
Amazing. Thank you. No, and thank you so much for coming on and just being amazing, talking about your life and talking about Eurovision and just playing some fun games and just having a laugh. I really enjoyed it. Thank you. Thank you so much. Uh,
Thank you for having me, DC. Really appreciate it. And thank you for having me.
just remember this, stay safe. Don't eat beef.